How do young people see politics different today compared to when I was a youngster? Well, I was born in 1950, so it wasn't long after the war. So if you go through the early 60s, I was a teenager, and the 60s were a great time. You know, I look back to the 60s, the sun was always shining, you know, we were all hippies, we had a great time. We were all aware, I mean, there was the Vietnam War, there was the Woodstock, there was a lot to rebel against. And if you go through the 70s, as I went through my early 20s, you know, there was Nelson Mandela, there was CND, I was fighting, and I got all the t-shirts on all the marches, you know, free Nelson Mandela, get rid of nuclear weapons. I was there at Greenham Common. There was always something to fight for and to fight against. And then Margaret Thatcher, then you go through the late 70s into the 80s, and you know, I'd go on all these marches to get rid of Margaret Thatcher, and then there was fighting for the miners, all those demonstrations and the miners' strikes. I was involved in all that. So all my life, going through, you know, my teens and my 20s and my 30s, and starting into my 40s, I suppose, there was always something to fight for, but fight against, because I felt there was a lot that was going wrong in the world. I think what has happened, particularly in the last 10, 15 years maybe, I think things have been okay. There have been issues such as Iraq, that's a big one. But on the whole, I think, you know, there's more prosperity, people's quality of lives are much better than what mine were. I was brought up in quite a poor house, a very nice home. Never thought of myself as being poor, but looking back, I can see that we were, you know, compared to what people have got today. And I think people today possibly take for granted, I suppose we all do, what the basics of life, our basics of life are so different to what they were when I was a youngster and a teenager. Like, you know, we just had this one black and white TV. Now, most households, a lot of households anyway, have got, you know, 36-inch, 42-inch screen, computer in the bedroom, computer in the kitchen, whatever. People and kids sort of expect that today in a way, in a lot of families. So I think there possibly hasn't been quite so much to fight for, and I think that in that way politics for young people today is a bit different. But what I would say, I think the global threat is bigger, and I think young people are probably more aware today of global politics than I was. For me, it was mostly to do with this country, with my town, my city, you know, Wales. But I think today young people are probably more aware and more concerned about global politics.